sometimes we're venting these out windows, so it puts all the mold outside. You know, so there's a process to it, and then you're still failing your post-test because you didn't get all the spores out. So sometimes you got to run these for another 3 days. So you're losing time, you're losing money because now this isn't on another job, you know. Now you're renting equipment to do the job you have, and you're losing money. So chlorine dioxide.
Every job?
There's a pre-filter which you change every job. The HEPA filter, I forget how many hours it lasts, but there's a light on the machine that tells you when you need to replace it. If you do an insurance job, they'll buy you a new HEPA filter so you can change it on those ones. Yeah.
With learning from Mark that the filters for HVAC systems aren't for us, it's for the machine. Is there something after you go through a whole system that an individual would keep in their house on a regular basis to keep the air a little
They
cleaner?
can get an air purifier.
Okay,
yeah,
all
there's
right.
a couple that I recommend.
Yeah.
There's one that I recommend that's made specifically for mold. I mean, it does capture dust and allergens like that, but it literally breaks up mold spores, similar to what chlorine dioxide does.
That's the one you recommended to me, right?
Yeah, it ionizes them. So I've used those on jobs before too, and they do work real well. But the chlorine dioxide, Ralph, also works on smoke odor. So if you ever get a listing where someone smoked in the house, we go down, we wipe down the walls with the chlorine dioxide, and
That's
then we gas.
something we need to talk about.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
That's important because you see how we just learned something. That's a new tip.
Absolutely.
That's a new tip.
Yeah, it works real good. It's a 24-hour process. Sometimes with the smoke, you have to do it a second time, you know, but if they have to be out of the home for 24 hours. You open up a window, you introduce air into the atmosphere, and it gets rid of the chlorine dioxide. There will be a pool smell for a few days, but it's totally safe to breathe in.
It all sounds very labor intensive. I would think that, okay, you got a mold issue, you run the machines and spray or something, but it sounds much more labor intensive than that.
It is.
If you have an issue.
HEPA vacuuming is my least favorite thing in the world, you know? I don't mind doing a wall and a ceiling, but when you're talking about an unfinished basement with the joists, yeah, that stinks. But I'll be honest.
Mine got asbestos, like, that's not wrapped.
Yeah, you gotta vacuum that whole thing. But I'll be honest with you, I've done tests myself. When I first started using chlorine dioxide, you know, an attic can be real difficult to HEPA vacuum. So you put a 25, 50-foot hose on your vacuum, and you're trying to vacuum sheathing and joists, and there's nails from the roof going in, and you're cutting your hands up even if you have gloves, and you can't get to every area, right? So one time I said to myself, I know I'm only vacuuming about 50% of this attic, right? So I got a 50% chance. And this woman wasn't doing air testing, because air testing is expensive. So to do extensive air testing pre and post remediation, you could be adding $1,500 to the bill. And they're already paying, let's say, a $3,000 bill, so they don't want to do it, right? So you just got to go in there and do the best you can without really knowing how you did. So I said to myself, I'm going to not vacuum, and I'm going to use chlorine dioxide in this attic and do a post-test. And she had cladosporin was the type of mold, which isn't a toxic mold, but she had 63,000. She had someone else do the pre-testing. 63,000 spores, so a lot of spores. And there was only about 5 spots in the attic with mold in it from leaks, you know? So we treated those. I sprayed the whole attic with an antimicrobial. I fogged. I left my air scrubber for 3 days, and I went in and I sealed off her vents and her fan, and I ran the chlorine dioxide for 24 hours.